Hello, this is Karen from Vintage Elegance Inspiration. I have one more journal to share of my summer journal collection, and this is the 7th one. It is slightly different than the others. It does not have the removable wrap skirt. However, it has a gorgeous piece of antique French lace that was gifted to me by Georgianne, and she did get it in France in the fall, just before Christmas of 2022. So what I did was just gathered it and then added it to some veiled lace here that wraps right around to the other side of the cover, and added some vintage trim, and that makes the nice little pocket on the front for the journal topper. So this one I have named Rosebud because she's not a diminutive version by any means, but she was started, and then I continued to work on her and I filled it up with ephemera. So if you've seen part of the video that includes the flip through of this particular journal, I had started it back in March. It went to Vermont with me. I demonstrated it, showed it to the participants there, and it was very basic. I had only a few pieces of ephemera in, and then when I came back home, I decided that I was going to include it in this summer collection and add very similar pieces of ephemera and tags and so forth inside, because I had used the same digitals. So what we've got holding it together is some beautiful fibers that I've got, and I will take those off. This, of course, is a tall, skinny journal, as you can see, and she is, I believe, 10.5 inches completed. 10 by 5, that's right. The ones we made at the retreat were 10 inches by 5, so she's just a little bit shorter than the other tall, skinny journal in my Rose summer journal collection. And what I did was I swapped out the journal card or the tag that I had made for the front and put it in the back. So this is made from vintage wallpaper, vintage book page, some gorgeous vintage applique, some Cupro, vintage music paper, and a dangly charm on the topper there. And backed onto parchment paper. Of course, that can be journaled on, or you can even use it as a bit of a writing board inside. What I did was, to make it uniform and consistent with the other journals in this collection, I've added the little booklets that I made as the toppers. I didn't have any more of the other tags left, but I felt this was very relevant because it has the bud on there. And this particular digital I know is from TaylorMadeJournals, Lovey and Rose. Just some random writing sheets and a little side tuck and some pretty little beads. So that can get tucked in the front pocket, or you can add whatever you would like to it. Like I said, this is not a wrap skirt. It is closed. It is finished. So you can stuff all kinds of things in there if you would like to put something different or additional to what I have included. The lace pocket that I have attached wraps around from one inside cover to the other, and I do that before I stitch the signature in place. So along with the other journals from this series, I made these beautiful little journaling cards with Odulcina's new digitals. This is part of her Garden Herbal collection. And what was significant to me about naming this particular journal Rosebud is the definition that I found. It's a young rose whose petals have not yet opened out fully. The red rose symbolizes romance, love, beauty, and courage. A red rosebud signifies beauty and purity. A thornless red rose means love at first sight. Yellow rose symbolizes friendship and joy and new beginnings. And I just thought that was so appropriate. I loved it. So I've tucked that inside as a little bit of a personal note from me, why I created the name, or gave the name of the journal that I created. Another tag that I've made here with some vintage book page, some stamping, a beautiful sequined applique, some Cupro ribbon as the topper, vintage sheet music, and just some scrapbooking paper backed onto parchment paper. And for extra journaling space, I just included a piece of the digital kits. I did use a number of digital kits for these journals. As you can imagine, 7 journals takes up a lot if you like to use digitals, which I do, and of course add to them and add my own papers. So primarily this one is using the Patience kit from Raindrop Lila. Also it has a lot of the Rosie kit and the Peachy pink. So those are the 3 main ones from her. This would be Lorna Taylor's. So beautiful, from her La Vie en Rose collection. So let's make sure we are intact here. I believe this is 14 page sides. So 64 pages total. It's still very, very chunky. It does not have vintage lace on the page edges, and so that makes it a little different from the others. However, I do have a lot of special features in here that make it just as unique, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. I've done my waterfall cascade page layering technique. You start out with narrow pages in the front and then progressively get wider towards the center of the journal, and then all of the back pages can be no wider than 4 7/3 0.75 inches wide. And that's what I do. Hit this little what do you call it? It's not really a center page, but it supports that first page. Quite often, if you don't do the first page a little bit stronger, it tends to get bent and so forth. So this stabilizes and strengthens that first page quite a bit. And then I left it open and just tucked a sweet little journaling card in there, Tim Holtz. I used my washi stickers. I love them, they're beautiful. Some stamping with my large PSX stamps. And one of the journaling cards are the tags that I've made from the Rosie Ephemera kit by Raindrop Lila. Backed it onto cardstock, added some beautiful vintage or antique lace at the top, a vintage button, and stitched it with metallic embroidery thread. Yeah, the other journals in this collection used mostly blush lace, and I had already sewn the signatures into this several months ago, so I, of course, couldn't add the lace afterwards, at least not the way I like to do it. This tag was made from the lace masterboard that we learned how to do from Georgianne at our class in Vermont at the retreat, and then I just added an applique to it and the Swiss dot tag topper ribbon silk. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Some vintage music paper, antique lace on the bottom, and it straddles both sides of the page, so it goes right through, as you can see there. Just covers up the music paper a little bit. This tag has 2 pieces of antique lace. So beautiful. This idea I did get from Lorna Taylor, and she makes her own swatch cards, and then I just added a couple of pieces of vintage or antique lace stitched around it, and then I punched some holes in the top and threaded some sari silk through there. This is beautiful coloring, just love it. And I added another swatch card with the embellished and embroidered trims from Sheila Gingerich at BohoDaydreams in the gorgeous red and pinkish tones. I just love them. This is some of the vintage lace that I have avocado dyed, and some beautiful artisan paper. It can be journaled on the back, and it's got a little swatch tab at the top. Those are by Odulcina, another artist that I really enjoy watching and learning from. A washi sticker. This is a tea-dyed doily that I have added the gilding paste to, so it's very shimmery. some journaling cards, this tiny little girls, tickets. I just cut off the ticket part, or cut them straight, and then back them onto cardstock, just for some extra writing space. Cute little image. These tags I made from not vintage wallpaper, piano paper. That is an antique lace applique that I've just cut out. Some stamping and some beautiful chiffon ribbon at the top, and then stitched it around. Backed onto parchment paper, which is what I like to use. I like to use it because to me it looks more old world. It looks more vintage, and it's sturdy. And I've got several thicknesses in it, so depending on what project I'm making, I can have a choice of what I use. A French vocabulary card. Love this image. So beautiful. I've just created a little pocket here. This particular digital is from Raindrop Lila's Peachy Pink collection, and it's 2 rosebuds, very appropriate. That's Antique Florals from ChapterOnePapers. I did not put topper ribbons or fibers in everything because this journal is extremely thick. It's a lot thicker than I intended it to be. It's only got a 1/2 inch spine. Some German vintage book paper, beautiful angel that I've fussy cut on that side. And then this pocket I've created, and some stamping, a vintage postcard of Sacramento, and a vintage envelope dated 1940. So those are authentic vintage pieces of ephemera. This side of the page, I've just got an envelope where I added some extra pieces of ephemera if you would like to add them to your journal. A fussy cut flower, a tag, journaling card from Tim Holtz, and a beautiful image of a pink flower. And that I've had for so long. I used those in my Hawaii journals, so I don't even know where I got them from, the digitals, but I could look them up if somebody really needs to know. Or you can watch the videos of I think I've got videos of my Hawaii journals, and I probably have it listed there. And if not, I'll be making some more journals because we enjoy going to Hawaii. The center of this signature is a page out of Edith Holden. I love the birds. I love the cherry blossoms. And it's April, May. The beads that I've added at the bottom and the dangles are beautiful, sort of topaz-y colors. They go with the cover of the journal, which is made from brocade tapestry. Another washi sticker of a beautiful rose. Some more stamping, and then I've just made these tags. This one is from Graphic 45 paper, and then an image from ChapterOnePapers, the Antique Florals. Reversible if you like. So you can write on all the tags, you can move them around, which is what I've done. If you did watch the previous video on this from April, you will see that the ephemera I had in here was limited, and I've added a lot. This one I love, this ruffle that I've made out of some burnout velvet curtain panel. Vintage, of course. And some more rosebuds here with a receipt that I've tea dyed. On the other side of the paper doily, tea dyed and shimmered up. I've added a sweet little applique to this tag with a little vintage girl on it, backed onto Tim Holtz paper, and you can see the sweet bird there. And just another journaling card on this side. Some stamping at the top. And a tag that I've made here. It's actually a belly band. It's my business card. Just some French book page and beautiful crocheted lace at the bottom of the tag. Backed onto parchment paper so you can use that for extra writing space. Other side of this digital, I just absolutely love the colors in there. This pocket, covered with the antique lace, Has a French vocabulary word tag, some more piano roll paper, an antique lace applique that I've cut and attached, some scrapbook paper, and then I've stitched it around and added the chiffon ribbon and backed it onto parchment paper. And then this is, I believe it's an invoice in French. Just some extra journaling space, and it gives character to the page. I don't have a lot of pieces of authentic ephemera. I'm working on it, but I tend to use digitals more because they're a little more difficult for me to find the types of papers that I would like to use in my journals. But I do have some. And on this side, I've got another pocket that I collaged together with an image of this beautiful young girl and just some extra journaling cards for writing on the back in the green tones. Some stamping. This page I love. It's very simple. It's not really bare, but it's simple. Gorgeous applique, vintage lace applique with some netting on it, and a tall tag that I've border edge punched the bottom, stamped the word Madame, a fussy cut flower, a little note card, and then one of these sweet little vintage girls that I position exactly so her little eyes can peep through there. And of course you can tick all that out and you've got a lot of writing space. A vintage envelope, post dated 1935. So you can tuck something in there if you would like, definitely. And I've just added a washi sticker on this side. This is the tuck pocket idea that I learned from Marlene from Uniquely Ella. It's got a pocket tuck spot on the bottom and then one in the center here, and then these ones go all the way down to the bottom, and then this one you can put something behind. And I've just got tags of little vintage girls in here, a button card that I used for stitching the buttons, and then a journaling card on the bottom. And these hold a lot, these little pocket ideas. I just think they're so lovely, and they do keep them very secure. It's a really good method, actually. This is the booklet that I had made for this journal with the gold embossed stamping that says Vintage Market, and just some extra journaling pages that are tea dyed. And then this piece of ephemera is using a book page from the hand stitching book that I purchased, a vintage one, some book page, a die cut wildflower, some stamping and vintage sheet music, and then back with parchment paper on the back. This is artisan paper in the inside cover, as I mentioned, and that's the back side. Vintage buttons sewn onto the spine. And there you have it. That is this sweet little journal. And I am wrapping it up quickly because I've got the whole crew coming over to swim. It's about 108 degrees outside today, super hot. And I'm just so glad I was able to finish this journal and include it in my summer journal collection. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching all of them if you've stayed with me through the series. I really do appreciate it. And I enjoyed creating them, of course. Hopefully I wasn't too out of frame there. I noticed how far up I had gotten, but anyhow, I have to zoom my camera out a little bit further because these tall, skinny journals, otherwise it would cut it off worse than it may have done. So I hope it turns out all right. If not, I'll be re-recording it. So I hope you're having a great weekend. Stay cool, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.